Our lesson for this evening is simplifying fractions. Let's look first at our VIC, our very important concept. What is simplest form when we talk about that? A fraction is considered in simplest form when the numerator, which is the top number, and the denominator, which is the bottom number, cannot be divided anymore. It can't be divided by the same number. It's just as low as it can possibly go. That's simplest form. For example, the fraction 1/2 is considered in simplest form because neither the 1 nor the 2 can be divided anymore. They cannot be divided by the same number. So that's considered already in simplest form. You can't divide it anymore. Why do we simplify fractions anyway? Why would we need to do that? Well, the short answer is it makes it easier to understand. It makes it just easier to visualize. Imagine your family has ordered 2 pizzas for dinner and you've eaten some of the pizzas and your mom says at the end of dinner, so how much pizza is left? Well, you look and you count all the pieces up and you say, well, 12/16 is left. But when you sit there and think about it, 12/16, that's kind of hard to understand, and I can't really wrap my head around that. But you could say instead that 3/4 of the pizzas are left. It's easier to understand 3/4. It's easier to visualize what that looks like instead of 12/16. That's a little bit hard to understand. What does it really mean to simplify? Let's use 6/8 as an example, and we've drawn some fraction bars. 6/8, this is 6/8. This has been divided up, the whole has been divided up into 8 pieces. And 6 of them have been shaded in. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of 8. Now, what might be a fraction that would show the same amount? It won't be 6/8, but what's a fraction that would show the same amount as 6/8? Let's see, if we bring this down here, we could color those in. So this would be one of them. 2, 3. That's the same amount as this. What would we call this? Well, it's divided up into 4 parts. How many are shaded in? 3. So a fraction that shows the same amount as 6/8 is 3/4. 3/4. Because 3 are shaded in, 3 parts are shaded in out of 4. So 3/4 is the same amount as 6/8. But instead of using all of these littler, smaller fraction bars, we're using fewer. We're just using a little bit bigger fraction bar. But 6/8 names the same amount as 3/4. Now, how could you simplify? Let's say that you're going to use division. How to simplify using division? In my opinion, this is easier than drawing the fraction bars. And I think the reason is that it takes less time. It just doesn't take as much time. Let's, for example, use 3/6 as an example. Let's see, the numbers that 3 can be divided by. I can divide 3 by 1, and I can also divide it by 3. Okay? List the numbers that 6 can be divided by. Well, I can divide 6 by 1, I can divide it by 2. Let's see, I can divide it by 3, 6 divided by 3, and I can also divide it by itself. 6, a number can always be divided by itself. What's the largest number in both lists? Well, if I look at both lists, I see that this number and this number are in both lists. So the largest number is 3. All right. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide the top and the bottom numbers by the same number, 3. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 6 divided by 3 is 2. So 3/6 simplified is 1/2. Notice how we did this. We did it step by step. We did the numerator first. We did the denominator next. More simplifying. We are going to do a little bit more complicated fraction. Okay? We are first going to list the numbers that 6, which is our top number, can be divided by. We know that 6 can be divided by 1, 2, 3, and 6. List the numbers that 9 can be divided by. We know 9 can be divided by 1. We can be divided by 3. 3 times 3 is 9. And 9 can be divided by itself, 9. What is the largest number that appears in both lists? Well, let's see. There's not a 9 up here, but there is a 3 in both. So there is a 3 in both lists. So what we'll do is we'll divide the numerator and the denominator by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 3. Excuse me, 2. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So if we divide both the numerator and the denominator by 3, 6/9 is simplified to 2/3. 2/3. Remember that you have to treat the top number, the numerator, and the denominator, the bottom number, the same. You must divide it by the same number for it to come out mathematically correct. You can't choose a different number for the top and then a different one for the bottom. Try it. Simplify 15/25. Okay, first of all, let's think. 15 can be divided by. Think of all the things 15 can be divided by. Well, we know it can be divided by 1. It can be divided by 3. It can be divided by 5. And it can be divided by itself, 15. You might think, well, how about 10? Well, no, 15 can't be divided by 10 evenly. We're looking for even numbers. 25 can be divided by, well, 1, not 4, let's see, 5. Can it be divided by 10? No. And it can be divided by 25. It can always be divided by itself. What number do they have in common? Well, as I look at this, I see that they both have 5 in common. 5 in common. So now we're going to divide the top and the bottom numbers by that number, 5. So 15 divided by 5 is 3. And 25 divided by 5 is 5. So if we simplify this, the answer is 3/25. 3/25. If you will take it slow, take it step by step, list all of the numbers that the numerator can be divided by, and then list all the numbers that the denominator can be divided by, and then find what is the largest number that's in both sets. Okay? Now, if there is no number that they have in common, it's already in simplest form. All right, tonight on your homework guide, on the page number 3 where it says practice problems, you are going to write these 3 for practice problems. Okay? A, 8/12, write that down and simplify it using our method of division. B is 10/18, write that down, use our method of division, do it step by step and simplify it. And C, 20/24, do the same thing, and that goes in practice problems. You will simplify these 3. In a lot of cases, many of you would do really, really well if you just slow down and think it through. Sometimes we get in a hurry and we don't do it step by step by step. We try to skip ahead because we think, oh, we don't have time, or I don't want to take time. You can do it. Just take it step by step, work it out, get the right answer. Okay? Let me know tomorrow if you have any questions. You've been flipped.